Hello, this is rml695, and I have here with me JLS1114.
Hello, everyone.
In a previous video entitled From Verizon to AT&T to Sprint, I made a comment that we were going to do a follow-up on this. And this is the second take for this video. The first take, I went ahead and addressed comments in the previous video. This time I'm not going to do that. If you want to read the comments yourself, you can go ahead and read them. Again, it's Verizon to AT&T to Sprint is the video's title, and you can go ahead, read it for yourself. But JLS and I have both read this, so I'm just going to go through a list that I've written, and if anybody wants that list, let me know and I'll get it to you. But this list comprises things I've collected over the past week concerning Sprint from JLS as well as other people. And the first of which, we have fully accessible phones that are not smartphones. Now, JLS, you said that we have the Music and the Fusic, but I spoke to somebody at Best Buy today and said that they haven't had those phones on their fleet for at least a few years now.
Okay. I will honestly say I do need to look more into what they have available now, but I know from going with other friends that are visually impaired, I was there when they first got Sprint, and they had a lot of fully accessible phones. That's unfortunate they don't have the Music anymore. So.
Let's see what else. We also have good service, experience, and coverage with current customers. I've got friends that have used Sprint, and so do you, with no complaints. Noah from PhoneDog.com, he said that he's also had a very good experience. Voice quality and data quality are all solid, even with low bars. And then the other thing I like is that their evenings start at 7 o'clock, and they have an unlimited data plan for the Pre. This particular unlimited data plan compared to the iPhone is $1,200 less over 2 years, and for $70 a month you get unlimited and GPS on Sprint. That's basically their everything plan. And the same plan on AT&T with truly everything, well, not exactly everything because it's without GPS, $100 a month, and this was from Consumer Reports. And I spoke to somebody at Best Buy today, and he said that as far as the unlimited data plans go, that they happen to be the cheapest in the country. Any comments on that gig?
Yeah, actually, my friend, who left Sprint, and only because he was working for Verizon, and now he's not, so he's going back to Sprint. He misses Sprint. He was saying that's another reason why he's going back. Not only did he love their service, and the signal is great, but he also really likes their plans. He said it's a better bang for the buck, and as far as the 7 o'clock thing, I mean, no, Verizon does not have that option, people. Yeah. Just so you know that, which I've always hated. AT&T has it, and so does Sprint, but I think Sprint has a little cheaper plan mixed in than AT&T does.
And then I looked them up on Wikipedia. If you actually type in Sprint Nextel on Wikipedia, you can essentially get the more detailed version of what I'm about to say here. But what we have here is Sprint built their network from the ground up, rather than merging with other carriers. Smaller providers such as Jitterbug and Firefly piggyback off of Sprint, but Sprint, however, piggybacks off of no one. The only exception is a roaming agreement with Verizon. And have you basically been aware of that Sprint basically built their network from the ground up?
Yeah, they actually say that in some of their commercials. They actually mention that, and I think that's a plus with Sprint, that they built it from the ground up, than opposed to going out to side. They had to work even harder, or probably even more experience, and put their signal through more things and service altogether than other people probably have. So I give them a lot of credit for that.
Now, the only issues that I've had, that I've read, are variable consumer service, but I think we're going to wipe that one off because, I mean, wherever you go, customer service is always going to vary, because you're not always going to get John Doe. You may end up with Jane Idiot.
Exactly.
But the other thing, I read a couple years ago that there have been issues with dropped accounts because of consumer complaints revolving around rate hikes.
Oh, you know what? Now I think about it, I said in the previous video that I don't remember anything about, but I just thought of something. There, actually, yeah, there actually has been a couple of things, because the reason is, I have to admit, now that I'm thinking of a friend of mine this happened to, is that this, it came out of nowhere. They did not do a very good job of letting their customers know, even the existing ones. It just happened when they got their bill. And this actually happened when they merged with Nextel. It's like they had a really hard time adjusting, getting them both to work, but now they're fine.
Okay, and this was how long ago did this happen?
Maybe it's when they first merged with Nextel that happened. But I think they have control of it now.
Let's see, when was that? About 2007, I think? Because Sprint itself as a wireless provider didn't really take off until 2005 when they sold their landline off under the title of Embark.
I think it was about 2007. Yeah, they didn't do a very good job communicating that very well.
But there hasn't been any incidents since then that you're aware of?
No.
Okay. And that's about it. Has there any... Would you like to say anything further on this? Like anything that I may have not brought up that you want to address?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to say, some people say AT&T has a larger map signal than Sprint. That may be true, but overall I've heard Sprint does a better job with their signal than opposed to what AT&T is showing. That should work, but it doesn't always. There is
one thing though. I have been looking at the map and in multiple locations. For the most part, where I am right now, perfect coverage, no problems. The only area that might vary is where I vacation for 2 weeks, where I'm leaving to go to on Tuesday. They said that the strength varies, but I remember speaking to a few friends on AT&T yesterday. One person, I could barely hear them, but the signal was atrocious, and it dropped within about 30 seconds. And the second person that called was 100% static. Now...
That's Sprint or AT&T?
That was AT&T. They were on AT&T. And when I spoke to the Best Buy representative about that, particularly about the static, he said that normally doesn't happen. The reason why it happened at that particular time is because the networks are currently undergoing a major transition. At this point, they are, for example, I was told Verizon's data network was down for 5 hours today because all the carriers are undergoing major transitions. But what if, besides that particular incident, what have you heard concerning AT&T? Because I've heard from a lot of people that they are very upset with Apple that that they went with AT&T with the iPhone, because essentially their service stinks, and now we've got this whole business about other carriers allowing for SMS text, picture messaging on their carriers, and the iPhone being able to support it as a device, but AT&T is not opening that up yet, and there's also a whole business around tethering as well. But what's your take on this whole AT&T versus Sprint?
Well, I've heard mixed things. Like, I've heard the new iPhone is dropping signal like crazy, and it's because of AT&T. A lot of people have complained about them, but a positive thing I have heard, which you would be interested in, is somebody who was in the sticks in New Hampshire, they actually had excellent service with AT&T. So, I guess it varies.
Well, I think, though, that GSM versus CDMA, I think CDMA really is the superior of the two technologies, particularly when it comes to voice quality and, more importantly, data. It's pretty much been said that if you want data, you have to go CDMA.
Yeah. But as far as being visually impaired, AT&T has a whole office that you call that they specifically
we have about 15 seconds left. So, hang on a second, everyone. We're going to turn this into a part 2. So, catch part 2.